The time is 6:15. Here is the news edited by Dilni Gunwardana, read by Victor Raj. Here are the headlines of the local news. The Cabinet approves the roadmap for CEB restructuring process. Former Attorney General Dapula de Oliveira is summoned to the Terrorism Investigation Division. Education Ministry is hopeful 2022 advanced level paper marking process will commence soon. 206 billion rupees is spent on revised welfare benefit program. Sri Lanka and UK starts strategic dialogue tomorrow. Foreign news, President Putin visits occupied Ukraine. Sports news, cricket. Sri Lanka beats Ireland by an innings and 280 runs in the first test. Local news in detail. Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara said the Cabinet has approved the proposed roadmap and timeline of the Ceylon Electricity Board restructuring process. Approval for the proposed restructuring plan was granted at the Cabinet meeting held yesterday. Accordingly, the final draft of the new Electricity Act will be presented to the Parliament for approval by the end of May. Meanwhile, the Cabinet of Ministers also approved the establishment of a reform secretariat and to obtain the assistance of development agencies such as the Asian Development Bank, World Bank, USAID and Japan International Cooperation Agency to conduct a financial and human resource audit and to complete the transition process by October 2023. The National Medicines Regulatory Authority has raided 18 pharmacies that had not properly registered. The Chief Food and Drug Inspector of the authority, Mr. Amit Pereira, said that information regarding these were known through the operations carried out island-wide. None of the drugs dispensed by these pharmacies have been imported by registered institutions. He added that legal action will be taken against those pharmacy owners. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with more local news, Minister of Education Sushil Premchand has expressed confidence that university lecturers will reach a decision pertaining to participating in the paper marking process of the 2022 GCE Advanced Level Examination. Speaking at a conference held in Colombo this afternoon, Minister Premchand revealed that these stipends for university professors for paper marking were increased by more than 90% following their requests. He further added that the Treasury has agreed to increase the total funds released for allowances of teachers and university lecturers for the paper marking process to over 400 million rupees. Thus, the ministry stated that teachers and their relevant trade unions have reached a favorable decision in this regard. He urged university lecturers to fall in line with this decision and commence the paper marking process as soon as possible. Minister Bandula Gunawardene said Sri Lanka plans to spend 206 billion rupees a year on welfare benefits under a revised process where a social safety net is made to help sections of society who are truly in need of assistance. There are concerns that under the current welfare system, some who are truly in need are not getting support due to the lack of an efficient mechanism to enter the existing welfare systems. The program will have defined costs, periods, and recipients. Following recommendations made by the technical committee, benefits will be paid in a poverty gap to individuals who are poor, who are extreme poverty, and those who are risk. Separate benefits will be paid to disabled, kidney patients, and aged. The new scheme will be in operation from July 1st of 2023. Foreign Secretary Aruni in the inaugural UK-Sri Lanka Strategic Dialogue at Foreign Secretary level tomorrow at the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO in London. UK Minister of the State in the FCDO, Anna-Marie Trevelyan, will open the dialogue, which will be conducted with the participation of Sir Philip Barton, Permanent Under-Secretary of the FCDO. The inaugural strategic dialogue is convened at the invitation of the FCDO at the important juncture of the 75th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Sri Lanka and the United Kingdom this year. The strategic dialogue will provide the forum for both sides to discuss the multifaceted relations between the two countries. On the sidelines of the dialogue, Foreign Secretary Vijayawardena will have a bilateral meeting with Assistant Secretary General of the Commonwealth, Professor Louis G. Francisci, and interact with the members of the All-Party Parliament Group. That ends local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Former Attorney General Dapula Dilivera has been informed to appear before the Terrorism Investigation Division tomorrow. He has reportedly been called before the TID in order to record information on his controversial statement of a coup behind the Easter Sunday bomb attacks. On May 18th, then Attorney General Dapula Dilivera had claimed that there had been a conspiracy behind the attacks that killed 269 people and injured over 500 on Easter Sunday in 2019. That ends main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, the National Transport Commission has decided to do away with the semi-luxury passenger bus service after May 2023. Speaking on the matter, Director General of the NTC, Nilan Miranda, said that the number of complaints about the semi-luxury buses received from the passenger is on the rise. According to the NTC chief, all bus owners have been informed about the decision. There are nearly 430 semi-luxury buses on operation, and the bus owners will be given the chance to convert the service to a general or luxury service free of charge. Accordingly, the conversion procedure is expected to be completed by May 31st. That ends Watchlight. Moving on to world news, let's take a look at the headlines. President Putin visits occupied Ukraine. Indian Supreme Court hears historic same-sex marriage case. Melbourne overtakes Sydney as Australia's biggest city. World news in detail. President Vladimir Putin has visited the Russian military headquarters in the eastern region of Ukraine and discussed the war with the general in charge of the airborne troops, who reportedly took up a powerful new role in the invasion. The Kremlin said Russian leader attended an army command meeting in the southern Kherson region and heard reports on the situation there. He also visited the headquarters in Ukraine's eastern Luhansk region. A video of the visit showing Putin taking a helicopter to Luhansk has been revealed, but Kremlin did not say when any of meetings took place. The Indian Supreme Court is hearing final arguments on a number of petitions seeking to legalize same-sex marriage. The hearings are being live-streamed in public interest, with the same-sex couple hoping for a judgment in their favor, and the government and religious leaders strongly oppose same-sex union. The debate is turning out to be a lively one. The court has told both sides to finish arguments by Thursday. Melbourne has overtaken Sydney as Australia's most populous city for the first time since the 19th century gold rush. Following a boundary change, Sydney has proudly held the title for more than 100 years. But with populations rapidly growing in Melbourne's fringe, the city limits have been expanded to include the Sea of the area of Milton. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. President Putin visits occupied Ukraine. Indian Supreme Court hears historic same-sex marriage case. Melbourne overtakes Sydney. That ends world news.
Development news.
US-based international travel influencer Juliana Brost recommended Sri Lanka to be listed as one of the best places to visit in 2023. And consequently, Sri Lanka has been listed on the Forbes list as one of the 23 best places to visit in 2023. This was a result of her visit to Sri Lanka in 2022 under the visiting blogger program of SLBC 2022. Juliana, who explored the destination on a photo tour, says that visitors will find Sri Lanka a spectacular, affordable destination worth the long haul. That came to you on Development News. Moving on to sports news, Sri Lanka thumped Ireland by an innings and 280 runs in the first test at a goal, with the hosts wrapping up victory after tea on day 3. Ireland, who lost 13 wickets on the day, were bowled out for 168 in their second innings, having been rolled for 143 in their first knock as they replied to the home team's 591 for 6 declared. Sri Lanka spinner Prabhat Jayasuriya earned match figures of 10 for 108, backing up his first innings 7 for 52 with 3 for 56 second time around, as his team secured their record victory margin in Test cricket, eclipsing the innings and 254-run win against Zimbabwe in 2004. That came to you on Sports News.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB I Am, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Sri Lanka's largest private sector healthcare provider, RCD Hospital Holdings plc, has disclosed its plans to set up a state-of-the-art hospital within China-backed Port City, Colombo. To this end, RCD Port City Hospitals Private Limited, a fully owned subsidiary of RCD Hospital Holdings plc, has entered into an agreement with the Colombo Port City Economic Commission to lease government-owned land in PCC for a period of 99 years. That ends Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB I Am, a plan for your dream.
Moving on to economic news, State Minister for Tourism Diana Gamage said Sri Lanka will soon offer a golden visa for investors. This will be to investors who make a minimum investment commitment of $250,000 in a local bank or by investing in a government-approved project. That ends economic news.
Weather report.
Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in the Sabaragamu, Western, Central, Northwestern and North Central provinces and in the Galle, Mathura and Mullaitivu districts during the afternoon or night. Mainly fair weather will prevail elsewhere over the island. That ends weather report. To wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka, let's take a look at the headlines once again. The Cabinet approves the roadmap of CEB restructuring process. Former Attorney General Dapula De Oliveira is summoned to the Terrorism Investigation Division. Education Minister is hopeful 2022 advarsal paper marking process will commence soon. 206 billion rupees is spent on revised welfare benefit program. Sri Lanka and UK starts a strategic dialogue tomorrow. Foreign news, President Putin visits occupied Ukraine. Sports news, cricket. Sri Lanka beats Ireland by an innings and 280 runs in the first test. With that, we wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka.